Hey, welcome back everybody, it's Daniel. So in the last part we created this basic app, and I know we said we'd do recycler view, but today we're just going to do something a little bit different. So what we're going to do really quickly is, I thought of this kind of cool idea. So we have this list of, we have a data object, just a Kotlin list of something. If you haven't seen this, go back to the previous video. But we have all these products, and we're just adding them to this list here. So we have the iPod Pixel, has its name, its owner, the year it was purchased, and its price. But I want to do something, I want to create kind of like a filter. And I will stress, we'll do it the real way in a recycler view next time, but I promise we'll do it next time. But I just want to do something really quickly, just to kind of introduce people to like maybe we haven't programmed so much. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, if these products are more than $1,000, then don't display them. So how would we do that? We have our list of products there. We have the cost there. So inside of our loop, what we're going to do is we just need to write an if statement. So this is going to loop over every single, forEach is kind of like a Kotlin method for doing that for every single product. That one, etc. So inside of here we can do, let's just do this. Let's do if. This is like an if statement. It'll only do the code inside of here if it's true. So if let's do it.cost is, let's do it this way. Let's do it if its cost is less than $1,000, maybe say, then do all of that inside of there. So we're going to move that code, just copy and paste it, put it inside of there. That'll format it. So this first one right there is going to be for looping through every product, but inside of here we're doing another if statement. So only if the cost is less than, and there's also greater than, there's equals to, or there's actually, but there's all kinds of, or less than and equal to, less than or equal to, or you can do like greater than, equal to, or there's all kinds of stuff you can do. But in this case, less than that. Less than or equal to, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. I think it's greater than or equal to, yeah. We'll just do less than for this case. Less, so if it's less, if the cost is less than, if that cost is less than $1,000, do all this. So I'm gonna go ahead and run that. And let's just see, we have some stuff that's more than $1,000. So we have my MacBook Pro, and we got the Mac there, and I think that should be it. So let's just see if this works, and it does. So now you can see, hey, now we're only displaying, less expensive products. So yeah, so we're kind of filtering things out. So everything more than $1,000. So let's do something else. To kind of simplify this, I want to extract this number there, because say we want to, maybe eventually we'll have tabs in the top, which is like, if it's under $500, or if it's between $500 and $1,000, or if it's between like $1,000 and $5,000 or whatever, we could have different filters. So what we're going to do is, let's do this. Let's extract this variable. So let's go to the top and let's create a new variable. We'll call it val. We'll call this max cost equals, and we'll do 1,000 there. And this is really not much different at this point. So we can do max cost. This way, eventually we can maybe like have one variable called like the max cost, and we'll just update this max cost here, then repopulate the recycler view. Anyways, but also this should work just fine. Just moving the variable around is not really going to matter. It can be anywhere in there. It can be up the top. I mean, it should still do the same thing. And we can change this to, I think we do under $8,000. That definitely should display everything. Run it again, and you'll notice we should have everything. So everything is loaded at 5,000. Okay, so and it's making us private. We can do that later. So what we're going to do really quick is a companion object, which is kind of popular, or it's probably best practice. So basically in any class, so we have a class main activity. So right after there, usually, or some people put it on the bottom, we can do companion object like that. And these are kind of like global variables. Actually, this might not be best for a companion object. We could put, for now, we could put it in a companion object. So companion object. We can do that. We can put our max cost inside of there and kind of be like, yeah, it's making us, actually I should have made it private first. Anyways, so if you put our mouse over there, you'll notice it says it might be a constant, which is true. So we can do const value. So that's not going, that right there means it's not going to change. So down here, we can't say, hey, we can't say, basically, it's just more efficient behind the scenes, I think. Actually, we do have val, so it's not going to change anyways. So we have that. There's also one more thing we can do, I think. I think we can make that private. And this, the private variable, the private keyword means, say I created another class, like inside a product, I can't access the main, I can't do it here, but like inside of here, inside of another class, I can't have access to main activity, I can't have access to main I'll just go and do it, activity dot, what was it called? Max cost. Like I can't get access to it there. If I were to get rid of that, and this is, I should create another class, but like say I actually had something here, like a fun, and I do main active, so main activity dot, now I have max cost, I'll go ahead and get rid of that. So like say I needed, this is not what you do, but like say I needed to access, main cost, max cost everywhere. Like say we had, 20 files that like all wanted to have max cost. Instead of having copied and pasting this everywhere, what we can do is we can just reference the main activity's max cost. Now, ideally, this would be like in maybe some kind of config file or something. But the advantage of this is, say someone's like, hey, we want to change that to 2,000. You just go 2,000, and then in all of these files, and that file, and all of our other files that we put it in, it's going to change. Since it's all referencing it everywhere, you just update that one change and it'll be done. You'll be good. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that because we don't really want that. Should be good. Oh, one more thing. So I can access that. But say I were to make this private. Private means you can only access it inside of its same file, basically. So if I go inside a product now, see it gives us a red error and it says it's private. So this won't run. I can't run it. And that's kind of a safety feature. Like we can't even build the app. It's not going to let us run. But as soon as I get rid of that private, that means I can use it in any file. So I can use it in main activity, product, and that should get rid of the error. And now I have it. So I could do an if. Maybe this could be like, and this is a bad example, but like in show inexpensive. Whoops, what did I do? Gonna get rid of that. Not what I want. Inexpensive products. And I could be like, hey, if max, I could create another one. I could create one for like min cost, max cost not work, but yeah, like if I do cost is less than, I could put another if statement here and just do some logic here, like return, list, I'm getting way ahead of myself. But that's just one way we can access variables all over the place. A companion object is what does that. So companion objects are good for stuff that's not really going to change, stuff that you might need access to in other files. This is kind of maybe not the best example. I'll go ahead and just get rid of that. Just wanted to show that. But a lot of times, like it's best practice if you can, it's best practice to make something private. So that way you don't accidentally access it somewhere else. But if you need to access, max cost anywhere, by all means, access it anywhere. So let's do one more thing. Let's do, so we have our max cost. It filters out stuff. Let's do this. Let's lower that back down to $1,000. So I run, we can do anything. We can do 800. I'm gonna go ahead and run that. That should filter out all the inexpensive stuff. And max cost, okay. But let's say we want to do something else. Say we only want products that are more expensive than $40. So that right there, we want to filter out. So we want it between. So say we want, we can do another one. So I can put your mouse there and do view. I do the keyboard shortcut, but it's like navigate, duplicate line. So just either do that or you can just press the keyboard shortcut there. So click on the line and do that. So this one will be, we'll call this min cost. And we want it more than $40. So we want to only display the items that are above $40 and below $800. So we can actually do more in this if statement here. So let's just, there's also the and. So say we want Sorry, let's get rid of that. Let's do if the cost, let's create another one here. So let's do if, yeah, I'll do it here. So we'll do if it.cost, we gotta write that again, is greater than min cost, and that's the important part. So that and means has to do what's on the left side and on the right side. So if that doesn't work, then none of that's gonna work. Both that and that have to be true basically. Or there's also the or, but we don't want to use that in that case. We want to use the and. So let's just see if this works. So if the cost is greater than the min cost, which is $40, and also if the cost is lower than max cost. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. This should filter out that $12 thing. So let's just see if this works, and it does. And we'll deal with the pricing later. Don't worry about that. So let's see. We filtered out stuff. And by the way, we can do more of this also. So say we want and .cost, you know, is, what else can we do? Or we can do other stuff too. We can it.owner, like we can do. Oops, messing stuff up. So if the owner, so if the min cost and max cost, and if the owner is Daniel. Let's see if that would filter out. Yeah, so Daniel, it should show just the iPod there. So not Hannah's, but just Daniel's. So if I go ahead and save that, all of that has to be true for this to work. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that and run it. And you'll see in the recycler view one, which is probably next, we'll eventually create filters like this where we can filter out, you know, by owner, by, you know, price range, maybe, you know, the cheaper stuff, less expensive, maybe the high dollar stuff. Did it run? Yeah, it ran. So there we go. So we just have our iPod there. Or we could do if it's, you know, what do we not have? We don't have deb. So if I go ahead and save it and run it, this should be nothing because, yeah, some of it might be true. Like we might have some products that are greater than that, some that are less than that, but we definitely don't have any that are deb. So all of this has to be true, or all of this has to work for any of that to happen. So if I get rid of the deb, that would most certainly make it work. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff we can do. Say we want to get rid of the pricing stuff. Say we want just items by, what do we have? I'll get rid of Daniel Malone. I'll just keep that. So only want products by Daniel. So I'm going to go ahead and save it and run it. And we have a couple of products here. So we have a Daniel there. We also have a Daniel Malone, but we only see one product. So that's because the owner has to exactly match Daniel. So if I were to get rid of the Malone there, you'll see that we should have, yeah, so we have the, yeah, so Daniel. But say we want to just, if the owner includes the term Daniel, we can do like owner dot, I think we have a dot contains, and if it contains Daniel. So we can just type that out. So if any of the owner contains Daniel, so even though it can be like Daniel John Malone, but as long as this contains a Daniel somewhere inside of there, it'll work. Or at least in theory it should. So I'm going to go ahead and run it again. And yeah, it has those two. So just to show you that it really does work, let's do Daniels. So even though it has the S at the end, let's see if it works. I'm going to run it. Again, we're just doing the if statement for contains Daniel. And it's true because it contains the Daniel there. And yeah, so we can do that actually. So say I have Daniel in lowercase. So Daniel lowercase there. I'm going to run it. And we only have two products. So case matters by default. So the lowercase d there is not going to work. If I were to make it uppercase, that would make it work. But we don't want to do that. So say, you know, somebody enters her name, it's lowercase. If we put a mouse inside of there, we can do Command P and we can see that one of the options it takes is ignore case there. So you can put a comma, then do we want to ignore case? And the answer is true, so yes. That's basically the equivalent of saying yes. We want to ignore case. So you just put true there, save it, run it, and Let's just see if this works. Yeah, now back to 3 items. So even though the D is in, so and even though Daniel's all in lowercase, it works. And the same thing works, you know, Dan, or a mix and match. It can be, I think, yeah, it can be, should be just a regular expression, I-E-L, D-A-N-I-E-L. Yeah, so even though some is uppercase, some is lowercase, this in theory should work, and it does. Okay. We could do the same thing at the top. We could extract that variable, say, you know, we could actually duplicate one of those lines, say, you know, filter by name, and this will actually be a string. This could be, you know, Daniel, and I can get rid of that variable, and we'll just use our variable at the top, filter by name. Put that in there, and this should be exactly the same. That way all my variables are just all together at the top. So say I were to make, for example, this its own file. Like if I created a new file here and just went like, I could call it like, you know, app config, name it that for now, a class. In theory, I could, you know, keep all of this inside of my app config. I'll just put it inside of there. Yeah, I'm not sure we've created a new class, but that's how you create a class. So you just like click on com.example, go to new, Kotlin file class, type out something, class, enter, whatever, boom, there you go. And it's gonna name it by that by default. And by default, you're just gonna have an empty class. So just those 2 brackets. I'll make some space inside of there and then move the companion object over, just paste it in. And now we have our own class. So this could be kind of like our configs, like, hey, do we want, you know, for example, do we want the color theme to be, we want it to be dark, and maybe we want user email to be, you know, maybe we can like set some global variables. So if we want to use these like throughout the app, we can use these variables, you know, daniel@gmail.com, not my real email address. We could all keep it inside of there. So this is going to blow up because we don't have access to the filter by name anymore. That's not in this class anywhere. That's in the app config. So what we have to do is we have to do app config, then put a dot, and we don't have any access to any of those variables. That's what we were talking about earlier about the private. So if I get rid of the private there, we should be able to access the filter by name anywhere, and yeah, so now we can access it. So put a dot. Now we have filter by name. If we want access to all of them, we can get rid of, we can get rid of all of the private words there, and now they're all public by default. I think we technically can type public, but it's public by default. You don't need to put the public there. Just that's good. And now if we put the dot, I have access to all this stuff. The color theme, filter by name, max cost, min cost, but we'll do filter by name, keep everything else the same, run it, and this should work. It should display exactly the same. Exactly the same. Okay, so say, and I didn't plan on doing this, and I'm just kind of playing around at this point, just to show you kind of how you create different classes and how you access variables in different classes. But say we want to have kind of like a data source. So instead of having all this stuff in main activity, like we just have our main activity here and we do a bunch of stuff inside of here. Say we want to create a class that like just has all of our products. Because say maybe these products are going to be used everywhere. Maybe we use them on the card and the product search, and maybe like the category screen. I'm going to turn on the light here because it's getting kind of dark. So maybe we want to use these products everywhere. What we can do that. Let's just create a new class. So click on the com.example, go to new, Kotlin file class, and we'll go ahead and make this a class. We'll call this, you know, products data for now. Probably not the best name, but we'll just, for clarity, for sake, we'll call it that. So by default, just the class word and then whatever you named it, some brackets. Let's make some space inside of there. This is where all our variables and methods go and stuff. Let's create a new function. So we'll do that with the fun keyword. We'll call this all products. We can name that whatever we want. Put those those parentheses, then do that. Okay, there we go. There's our function. So now we have access to, we can call like product data dot all products. So go back to main activity, and I'm just gonna comment that out really quick. You can do that by, actually I won't comment that out. I'll just come over here. So it's called products data, so we can do, products data dot, and you'll notice we don't have access to our method there. So what we're gonna do is we can do that, the parentheses, and then put a dot, and this will work for now. Then we have access to all products. So we can say, hey, here's all of our products. And right now, this doesn't do anything. So let's get rid of all our products there. I'm gonna cut that. And I'm gonna go inside of our all products here, and I'm gonna paste that inside of there. And you might notice if you come back over to here, it's giving us some errors. So we'll just do, that products is nothing. So we'll call val products equals that. And it's still giving us an error. So even though we're trying, this products variable is supposedly supposed to be the same, we just kind of moved it to a separate file. So we kind of moved the product stuff that we had a moment ago. We moved all that stuff there into its own file. But we need to actually return something. So this products variable there equals whatever is inside of there. But these products right here aren't being returned to this products variable. And that's because we don't have the return keyword. So whenever you look at a function, you can see what it gives. So everybody that calls all products, they're gonna get nothing by default. What you need to do is right here, they're gonna get maybe a list. So maybe they wanna get a list of something. Maybe they wanna get a string. So this could be string, we could return, Daniel Malone, and that would be good. So now all products, whenever somebody calls all products there, that'll be equal to Daniel Malone, because we have the return type and we have the name there. And if none of this makes sense, we'll go over it in future videos. Hopefully, I'm sure we'll have time. Not in this video, but in future videos. So we don't actually want to return a name. We want to return, what is this? It's a list of products. So we can do list, and then it's not just any list. We have to specify what kind of list it is. It's a list of, and you can see inside of there, our data type is product. So we just type product, and hit enter, and there we go. So now this is good, except for it's giving us an error there. It's saying, if I were to, so now this should work. And so now this products variable equals, if you go inside of here, we're actually returning this. So anybody who calls all products is automatically going to get a list of products. There's one more error. So if I go ahead and try to run this should blow up and not run. And a return expression, what does that mean? If I didn't know, I could always copy that. I could go into Google and I could kind of do, Android Studio. And this is good practice. If you don't know what to do, you can always paste that in there, and I'm sure if this will ever load, maybe Stack Overflow, we can kind of figure it out. Some guy has the answer. Don't even know what this is. But there's a lot of resources, and a lot of times, I Google stuff all the time, just because errors that I don't know what to do. You can kind of read through this, and maybe some of these are helpful, some aren't. But I know what the problem is. So we're not actually returning anything. So we need to use the return keyword. So instead of, this is all good, but we're not actually sending this product along to whoever calls that. We have our products variable. We need to do return products. And now that gets rid of the error. So we set up our products there, then we're going to return all of those products. And if I run this should work exactly the same. Let's just see if it works. And it does, so cool. So a common mistake, you might put the return, you might put it down there, but that's outside of those brackets. It needs to be between those brackets. That's between the class bracket. We need it inside of the method bracket. So just move that up. And a little shortcut is, instead of creating a variable there and then returning it, we can just return it right there. So return a list of, and I can get rid of that, just a little shortcut there. And that should work. Maybe add another product, because why not? We'll call this 4K monitor. We'll make the owner Daniel J. Malone. It includes Daniel, so it still should work. Maybe this was purchased in 2020, and it costs $3.99. Don't ask me why the 4K is cheaper than the regular one. Run this. We should have one more here, so I'll just make sure that works. And it does. Okay, so we've done kind of a lot. See anything else we want to do? I think that's it. Yep, that's if statements. The if statements can literally be anything. It can be like if, it can be as simple as if, you know, owner equals Daniel, and that could be it. Or if you want to do something more fancy, you can kind of extract it to its own file, like I did there. Maybe this is useful, maybe it isn't. Maybe, you know, in a future lesson, this will be, we'll probably use something like this in the future. Ignore the case, yeah. Oh yeah, so first we did this app config. We learned about companion objects. We placed some variables in there, max min stuff. We created our products data, which we used right there. So I mean, it's the same thing as doing, if I got rid of that, I could put that right there and work exactly the same. Nothing would change. But instead of having all this and that and that, and it's generally a best practice to keep these classes kind of small. So I'll just, you know, kind of use a data source, put all that there, just to kind of separate things out. We'll learn more about that in future tutorials, and that's at 26 minutes, and I'll probably stop it here. Yep, I think I will. Let me think of anything else I want to do. Nah, this is good. I could put buttons there that like, yeah, we could do that. I'm trying to think. No, we'll do that next time maybe. Yeah, we might do recycler review next time. Oh, and if you want to look up recycler reviews, I have videos on recycler reviews. Yeah, I'll stop the video. Okay, I'll see you next time. Yep, see you next time.